What's up, boys, and welcome to the UNOV Chess Club. Today I'll be showing you one of my most complicated games I ever got to play in over the board tournament. Without further ado, I'll show you the game. I'm in the black pieces. I'm playing an 1864 rated opponent in the under 2000 section. And at the time I'm 1806, I think. He starts off with d4. I play knight f6, trying to play with the Nimzo. And he plays c4, I play e6, and then he plays f3. Now, f3 is a strange move just because I've never really experienced it. And the problem here is that I kind of go too quick with bishop b4 check, the idea of maybe transposing with knight c3 with c5. But instead he plays bishop d2, and I'm already kicking myself in the foot right now, because I was thinking, okay, so I just didn't do anything that involved the center, but instead just developed a piece with check. So I gotta take. So I take, queen takes. And now he's gonna possibly queenside castle because knight c3 is coming, e4 is coming. So I'm already gassing a bit of time because I'm trying to figure out if I should play d6, and after e4 is played, I played e5. But I wasn't really liking the position, so I decided a move with d5. Normally I don't play d5, I usually play for c5. So I'm a bit uncomfortable already in this position. And he plays knight c3. I play knight c6. Now, I play a very, very good move, actually, because I understand that this position isn't going to be a positional position. It's actually going to be very dynamic. And I can play bad, or not play bad, but don't play as positional, just because I understand that this position is a dynamic position. And the threat is actually d takes c4 with queen takes. And he plays e3, and again I can take and wait for his bishop, but I want to prepare it with a6, which is a bit of a mistake. I should take right away. He queensides castles, and again I can take again with bishop to c4 and then b5, but I'm feeling like my king's a little bit too unsafe right now, and I shouldn't be expanding. I should just castle. And now he plays g4. Now I'm feeling a bit of pressure here. I'm trying to understand if, maybe if I take, he might even have g5. And if I go back to d7, maybe bishop takes and then b5, bishop b7. I mean, I'm trying to calculate all these lines. I'm even calculating e4 and breaking in the center. So I was trying to hope for not basically a opposite queenside opposite attack with the pawn storms, and actually throughout the game he doesn't do that, which is pretty surprising. He does bishop takes c4. I play b5, and I'm pretty happy because he's responding to me. He shouldn't be doing that. He plays bishop d3, and now I have to play knight b4, and knight b4 is one of the only moves, just because I need to play c5, I need to bring my queen on a5, and I want to prompt for a3, and also swing my rook over to this file, where the queen's hit. And he plays bishop e2, another very strange move. I thought maybe even bishop to b1 was the only move, where I thought bishop b7 with knight takes g4 might be a possibility. I was going to go back, and then I was going to play c5 to try to crack open the center. But instead he plays bishop b2. I play bishop b7. The threat is actually knight takes. And again, I'm still thinking that he should go here, where if I was even calculating if I go here, he goes here. So then my knight's kind of trapped, actually. So I can't do that. So then I would just think, okay, then I'll just go back, or I might go forward. I was thinking about going forward, but maybe going back with c5 would be best. But I play c5 here, and now I'm feeling really good. Throughout this whole opening, I was gassing a lot of my time. The time control was 45 minutes with 5-second delay because we were in the 3-day section, and we had to play 8 games in 3 days. So I was kind of gassing a lot of time in an opening, in a time control that doesn't really require that much thought. And yeah, I was feeling a little bit stressed, but after I played c5, it became a lot more simpler to play because I understood what to do. Again, he plays a very, very awkward move. I just don't understand what he's trying to do, where my plan is going to go quick. he's not really pushing his pawns like he should be. And I play queen a5, hoping for a3 so I can build a hook on a3 with b4. And he plays king to b1, and then I take. And here I miss a tactic where, I mean, normally I would never miss this move. Obviously, right now I'm very low on time, and I am gassing a bit of time here at this very moment. And I was trying to figure out, how can I do this? How can I take, pawn takes, and then bishop check? But then you don't have to take. And I lost a piece, and I wasn't necessarily sure. He can even block with the bishop, right? But I failed to understand that bishop e4 just right away just works. And if you take, obviously, or pawn takes, I take with the knight. And that's what my whole idea was trying to do. I was even looking at sacking and bringing my knight in, but the bishop was always here to take. So I had the idea. It's just I didn't like really look at the most obvious move, which was bishop e4, which I'm pretty upset at myself for not seeing such an, like, I would say obvious move where I'm like, okay, how do I bring my bishop to e4? I didn't even look at bishop e4. So yeah, kind of an obvious move. But the thing is, after pawn takes, knight takes, you see that the knight is overloaded. The knight is defending the h2 or a2 square. And if the queen goes back, then I take. And if queen takes, you win the queen with queen takes a2, king c1, and then rook c8 wins the queen. Or say you take with the pawn, obviously you got checkmated. So the only tricky part is if the king just moves. And then I can just play with my normal plan, which is just bring my rook over. Bring my rook over to d8 instead of doing any of these knight checks. And just say you can't take. And another thing is, if he tries to kick me, I'll still go here because this knight is still trapped. And you can take, and then a bishop takes. And you see that this position is getting a little bit tough to defend. But I miss it, and I play rook to d8 instead. And the idea was that I'm expecting a3, I'm expecting knight c6, and I'm expecting d5, which I actually predicted knight c6, d5. And here I don't need to take. I don't need to take the pawn. I don't need to do anything. I just push b4 because the pawn's pinned to the queen. And he plays e4, knight e4, and then I take on d5. And I take with the rook. It's a bit of a mistake, which I should have taken with the pawn. But it's still fine. I double, and then when he takes, I completely blank here and say, oh, why can't I just take and attack the knight at the same time? But the problem is, he can play knight d6, and I can't take because of back rank mate, which kind of sucks, and actually stresses me out a lot. Like, it's very psychological when somebody does that to you and you're like feeling like you're winning. So I play queen c7. He plays knight f5, and then I play queen e5 because I feel like my advantage is slipping. And then he plays queen to d2. The problem is I'm really low on time. I'm like around 4 minutes, and he has a good like 15 minutes. He could have played queen g5, and obviously maybe g6 knight check, right? And then king goes up, and then knight check again, and king h8 is fine. But if you look at this, the rook is pressured. There's a possible winning of the queen if this knight is ever gone. And it's kind of stressful. It's just a stressful position. But he plays queen to d2. And now I take on a3, hoping to trade queens. And now I play a very, very good move where I was debating between rook b8 or bishop to c8. And I played bishop to c8 because I don't necessarily know where the rook wants to be. It can be on c8, it can be on b8, it can be somewhere else. But I know this bishop is not a good piece here. So that's what came to my conclusion, that this bishop needs to be moved first before this rook, because this rook can go anywhere. This bishop can really only go to one square. And I go bishop to c8. And he plays knight to e3. And now I'm thinking, wait, can I take? Like that. And if you take, I check. But the thing is, he has king a2, right? So king a2 doesn't really work. And I was trying to see if I can like push, knight check, and like somehow mate, but the pawn's always here, right? So I couldn't really make that work. So then I ended up just playing bishop e6, not to be too fancy. He plays rook c1. I do rook b8 check, king to a2, and now I'm gassing a lot of my time. I'm like at 1 minute here, and I'm just trying to find the best move. I see I can win the rook. But I want something better. I'm trying to find that if maybe I can take this pawn, maybe I can find a checkmate. But then at the end of the day, I'm just like, all right, I can just win the rook and win the endgame. He does this. I do knight a5. He plays or f4. I play queen to b5. And then we just trade. We trade everything. I go rook to b6. And we're blitzing everything out because we're both on low on time. So he plays f5. I just keep moving. And here he does a grave mistake, which he just brings his bishop to e6, and I just take. And the thing is that if you take, I'm just going to bring my king over. Your king is going to take a while to take this. And I'm just going to bring my king over and just escort this pawn. And yeah, that was the game. That was one of the most complex games I ever got to play. He was, 1864 or 1867, something like that. And yeah, I think I learned a lot from this opening where it was basically dynamic over positional chess. And it was very stressful since it was the first time I ever really saw f3 on move 3. But yeah, see you guys.